DCeased, Hope at World's End, Chapter 4 takes us to Kurok and to Jotunheim base. Kurok is a fictional DC country, like Kandak or Bialya or Latveria for Marvel. Like, it's just a made-up country. It's in the Middle East, and Jotunheim is this big, impenetrable base that is there. Perfect place to hold up from a bunch of zombies, I suppose. So then we see Wink and the Airy. These are two relatively new characters created by Tom Taylor in Suicide Squad, I believe. This is their alternate universe selves in the DCeased universe, and they are flying. And the Airy has wings, and Wink can teleport. And the Airy has been flying for like 3 days straight, and they need to rest. So they see this Jotunheim base, which I think is where they're going for, and people start shooting at them, and they're like, whoa, okay, and they teleport inside, where they meet Manticore and Raza. And they attack them, and they're like, no, don't attack us. Obviously, we're not undead, so you probably need help. We're going to help you. And they're like, yeah, fine, you can rest here for a bit, but you're going to help us. Then we get a brief cutaway of Damian Wayne and John Kent, and John Kent's like, yo, Damian, what's up? Hey, and Damian's staring at the bat costume that his dad gave him, and he's like, John Kent explains, like, yeah, no, I understand, like, putting this S on my chest, like, that's a lot to live up to. I totally get what you're feeling. Back to Kurok. Now, the Manticore's like, hey, you've rested long enough. You gotta go scope out the army that's coming. And they fly off to scope what's coming. And then we cut back to the Forge of Solitude again, and Superman is actually bringing Alfred some tea and makes a really goofy-looking face. He's like, hey, can I talk to Damian for a minute? And Alfred's like, oh, yeah, sure. So Clark sits down and talks to Damian, like, hey, no, I understand what you're doing. And Damian's like, why are you talking to me? Shouldn't you be saving the world? And he's like, nah, you know, John convinced me that this was an important conversation to have. He's like, wow, nepotism from the Man of Steel. Cool. He's like, goddamn, you're cynical. Anyway, he talks to him about how Bruce wanted him to be Batman. He chose him to be Batman, and Bruce is always right. He doesn't make mistakes. Like, this is what is supposed to be. You are Batman now, Damian. And Damian's like, yeah, I know. And then Clark's like, oh, it's not the responsibility of living up to Batman that worries you, isn't it? And Damian's like, no, it's just, if I take up the mantle of Batman, that means my dad is gone. You know, it's accepting that fact. Superman just looks at him and is like, dude, the world needs Batman, especially right now. Then we get a little montage of Damian suiting up, and he's like putting everything on. He's like, I'm Batman. And of course we go back to Kurok, and there is, in fact, a huge army coming forward, like giant, and somebody's flying above it, and it's Black Adam leading this army of the anti-living that we were teased earlier. Also at the front of the army is Nightshade and Hive, so the Airy and Wink are like, oh crap, and they teleport. They get the heck out of there, and they got to report back. But there's a giant army marching on Jotunheim. Like and subscribe to see where this goes. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Jesus.